What is up, YouTubers? This is your boy Cartoon, and I'm here today to bring another Bleach Brave Souls video. I'm going to be doing the 6-star 100% character analysis on none other than Jubantai Fuku Taicho, Matsumoto Rangiku. That's right, I'm going to be doing the 6-star 100% character analysis on the Lieutenant of Squad 10, Rangiku Matsumoto, and her Sanpakuto Hineko. That's right. So, without further ado, let's get into this busty bad girl and cat girl. Alright, so looking at her stats, they are very decent. I'm liking the spread that she has going on. Her stamina stands at 827. That's a very, very high stamina, so that's really good for PvP stamina magnification because it's all about stamina in PvP. Attack, 520. This is actually a pretty decent attack for this character because she is a ranged type, so this is kind of the archetype that they usually go by. Defense, 281. This is an okay defense. It's above average, absolutely, but I don't think it's going to prove to be, a deciding factor in PvP. So it's just a decent defense. Focus, 258. Once again, not an attribute we normally focus on, but it just means that her crits are going to be probably around average. And SP is 585. This is close enough to 600. It's 15 points shy, but it's actually a very good SP for a character that has a strong attack recharge link that's 14%. Alright, and also she has 2 killers because these tag teams have the double killers, and I like this one a lot because it correlates with the same kind of mobs that you're going to be dealing with, which Hollow and a Rancor. So any levels that have a mixture of both of them, she's going to be still doing buff damage. That's absolutely great. Alright, so let's get into our soul tree. Alright, so looking at her soul tree, you'll notice that she has 7 attainable upgrades, none of which block her path to 150, so farmers alike will like this and get a kick out of this. You just will need a crap ton of SP jewels. Who would have guessed it, right? And you can max this character out really easily without farming any raids. But let's get over these from left to right, top to bottom. Sprinter increases the number of flash steps. This is a fairly standard attainable upgrade on most characters. Next, Bruiser increases normal attack damage. This is a very good attribute for a character that's ranged, and I hear she has really good ranged normal attacks. Next, Berserker increases her strong attack damage. Well, if they wasn't going to give her Frenzy, at least they gave her something, right? Next, Devastation. This increases special move damage. This is the lower end increase on special move damage. Bombardment would have been the better choice, which I would have liked Bombardment for that full screener. Alright, next we have Weakened Defense. This adds a defense debuff ability to your special move. Another augmentation to special, but I mean it's okay utility wise for co-op. Next, Havoc increases strong attack area of effect. This is really good because, since she doesn't have that frenzy or anything, you're kind of counting on her strong attacks to encompass a wide area, and that's good. Alright, and lastly, she has the 14% cooldown, which is 2 points extra on her soul trait, which is a big plus for this character in particular as a link or as a character alone. So, I'm not going to talk your ear off about Rangiku over here. We're just going to get into that playstyle. So I hope you guys enjoy the clips. On the Hachigen raid quests, full boosterinos, you know how we do. Let's get it poppin'. Running a sad build. Well, alright. So, first things first, since we're running a sad build, let's test out those cooldown times. So first strong attack is going to be 7 seconds and it hits 8 times. The second strong attack cools down at 14 seconds and hits a total of 4 times. The third strong attack cools down at 21 seconds and hits for 5 times when done correctly. That's fairly standard cooldown time since we're dealing with Rangiku. Alright, so let's get started on this sad build, testing out these mechanics. So her first strong attack is really interesting. It does have the ability to knock out entry level mobs and it will do 8 hits. However, you do have to be standing in the correct locations in order for you to actually get all 8 hits off. Otherwise, you'll probably just get like 3 to 6. Somewhere around that ratio if you're not standing in the correct position, with the mobs placed in front of you. So her attacks are kind of circumstantial with the number of hits. Even this one actually lands only 3 hits sometimes, and so does the third one. But, for their full potential, they can actually hit 4 and 5 times. So it's really strange for this character. But look at that. That third strong attack just does so much damage. It's really amazing that she's able to do this much damage. And she's not really, what is it? She's not a frenzied character, so you wouldn't expect to see this much damage. And really good utility with her normals because of the fact that she can always keep her distance. Everything just says, stay back, leave me alone, and let me just continue this onslaught of DPS. You know, a sad build is very good, and I see a good correlation between the normals and the strong with this build. I like it a lot. Sad. Alright, it's time to test out Rangiku special no Tenchentai. Whoa, that's a good spec. A SAR build. Alright, so since we're running a SAR build, let's test out those cooldown times. So the first strong attack is going to cool down at 4 seconds and it hits 8 times once again. The second strong attack cools down at 8 seconds and hits a total of 4 times. The third strong attack cools down at 12 seconds and hits a total of 5 times. This is really crazy cooldown times for a SAR build. I'm liking it. Alright, so let's get started into play mechanics. So what I like about this character with a SAR build is fairly obvious. Those cooldown times are just insane. I mean, she doesn't have frenzy damage on her strong attacks, which means that her strong attacks will be lackluster if you're going to go full SAR with this character. I mean, a Byakuya Link could help in this situation, but as you can see, I'm effortlessly pummeling mobs very easily, keeping them completely away from me. She's a totally safe character, and just having those recharges at the ready that have really good AoE, not for nothing. They're very wide AoE based attacks that allow you to just constantly bombard the opponents with several moves, because she has multi-hits in every one of her strong attacks, and she has a ranged and melee guard break thing going on. So very, very good character. I'm liking the SAR build a lot more than the sad build for whatever reason, but that's just me. Alright, SAR. Running a NAD build. Alright, so since we're testing out a NAD build, let's test out that string. 1, 2, 3, 4. So she has a 4-phase string with 4 hits in it. It's very rare for a ranged character to have 4 hits in their string. She's an exception to the rule. So let's get this NAD build underway. Now she has 95% augmented attack and another 65% normal attack damage augmentation, and it's just proving that, wow, the damage that she's doing is crazy. It's almost close to 5k in attack. That is very, very, very decent. And of course, when your crit counter goes up, your attack goes up. Not to mention the fact that she still has very decent strongs, because I'm not using any chappies at this point in time. I'm actually just using the dog chappie, which is reducing my focus, but because she has the killer attribute advantage going on for her, she actually has really high DPS anyway, and she's hitting 5k normals without an issue on the stagger shot. Wow. A NAD build is just so fast, so clean, and I barely even had to use any of my strongs. NAD. Well, there you have it. That's my 6-star 100% character analysis on Rangiku Matsumoto. In the end, you find that this character works particularly well with a NAD build as it gets the top score. A SAR build gets the secondary score, and a sad build, though a viable build, gets the final score, and the breakdown for this is fairly simple. When it comes down to a NAD build, she just has really good DPS for it, you know, like most characters do. She's going to be hitting, you know, a good 2k, 2.6k plus, something like around there. And it's a pretty sufficient amount of DPS for non-killer attributes. When she has her killer attributes, you know, involved, then she's doing like somewhere around 4 or 5k, which is pretty good for normal attack. But the bread and butter of this is the fact that she's fully ranged, so she can constantly launch a bombardment of attacks on her enemies. And not only that, like her strong attack ranges, like the splash that she does is pretty decent. It can actually hit 3 mobs standing together in formation of width. That's very important to note. Alright, and she also has these strong attacks that really support her keeping her range. Her first strong attack is going to push mobs back just a little bit and make them land face flat where that stagger shot is. The second strong attack is going to be more of a uniform knockdown. After the 4th hit, they're all just going to fall on the floor. And the third strong attack is going to push mobs all the way back. Depending on where you're standing or where they are in your linear formation, they might flood off to the sides or scatter around a little bit, so it makes this strong attack a little iffy to use. You kind of want those mobs funneled in before you actually launch it off. But in terms of her NAD, she just constantly can provide that DPS, and you can be really strategic with the NAD build as much as you want, you know, like, and that's the one thing I like, having high damage with no cooldown time for it. So yeah, it's gonna really give her a really good clear time. When it comes down to a SAR build, this is actually a really decent build. I kind of like playing it because it just gives me options to constantly hit my mobs with a lot of attack power. You know, the high-end attack power of these characters, which is the strong attacks, and also it mitigates damage during the iframe. So it's actually really good to have cooldowns frequently there. Every time a mob appears in your face, you just answer with a strong attack. It's a very comfortable, clean playstyle. It's very safe as well, and it's very good for co-op. And this is probably something that I would use heavily in co-op over a NAD build. All right, I like this playstyle. And she's a 14% cooldown link, so it's a no-brainer to go with this. Alright, and lastly, when it comes down to a sad build, it's actually a okay playstyle. It doesn't provide sufficient clear time for me, but you can still actually use it and it will be viable. My suggestion to you would probably be to mix in a little bit of recharge time, just to kind of give her the edge a little bit in terms of launching continuous strong attacks, because even when I'm biting for my cooldowns, I'm not doing very much damage with my normals, and that's the biggest issue with this character in terms of a sad build. Outside of that, she's actually a fantastic character with good AoE, and she is fully ranged once again, so that always helps in a solo or co-op. Alright, and when it comes down to co-op, this character's pretty good. I'm liking her. I like the utility that she has with her soul bomb. When she hits the boss, she's going to provide a defense debuff, and that always helps the team out. You know, increases overall DPS on bosses on the team. And these guys have like Ks and Ks and hundreds of Ks of health, so this actually helps out a lot, you know. But outside of the realms of using her in her attribute strategy, I probably wouldn't recommend it, because, you know, she could make things get a little tedious. Now, in terms of PvP now, it's actually, she's okay. I've seen teams running her before, and sometimes I actually gotten taken out and surprised by this. But if you had to ask me for my strategy on it, I'd probably use a damage reduction and go stamina and attack for her, and go with a special strategy. And I say that because her strong attacks are kind of very circumstantial. When you look at the second strong attack, the melee guard break strong attack particularly, it's only one character space in front of her where the epicenter of that spin is. So what happens is she winds up walking all the way up to her adversary and trying to actually nail this attack. And most of the time she gets interrupted. Not to mention the fact that she actually does have really slow animation times for that third strong attack. And the first one is somewhat instantaneous, but still in the midst of it she can get interrupted if she's against a Kenny or something. When she goes against Baragon or other red characters, she actually fares pretty well. And when she goes against blue characters, if you play her in that DR spot like I did, she'll actually survive and be able to take enough damage. She's a little tanky. But outside of that, she just doesn't kill her opponent, and that's one of the bigger issues. She's more of those stalling characters that you might use for like a nuke tactic, where you wait for the soul bomb and then you use the soul bomb with her, and then your team kind of cleans up the rest of them. But for the most part, every time I've won a match with this character, she's usually aided by her other teammates to kind of get rid of whoever she was fighting for the duration of the battle. So in a PvP arena, I find her impractical for me to use, but if you did need to run some type of RGB setup, you can make it work with her. I would suggest you use only attribute strategy or special strategy with this character. Otherwise, she'll just get, you know, railroaded, you know? But in terms of this character, I mean, Kubo gave her 2 Ds, but I'm gonna give her an A, because I feel like she's a pretty decent character for missing like no frenzy, no flurry, no nothing like that, nothing serious that pops out about her aside from the cooldown link. And I still like her as a character. I've used her in several raids and I've had a lot of fun with her. So yeah, I'm gonna give her an A rating because she has good utility. So if you haven't leveled her up already, you should. It's Rangiku. But that's just my analysis. You're more than welcome to make up your own opinions on this matter, because that's what this is about, guys. But either way, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. As always, I'll be bringing you more Bleach Brave Souls content throughout the week. I'm your boy Scartoon, and I'm signing out of here. Dude, chill. actions.